The radio hissed with static, the voices coming through strained, almost frantic. Then came the final order from Command Cold, absolute. The sector was now a kill zone. No one was coming. The 7 soldiers stranded outside the perimeter had been all but signed away. Everyone in the room accepted it. Except one. She didn't speak. Didn't protest, just quietly rose from behind the communications console. Her name was Staff Sergeant Maya Rodriguez, the only female operator on base, mostly invisible to the chain of command. While no one was looking, she slipped out, commandeered an idle Humvee, and drove into the storm alone. That decision would change everything about what it means to follow orders and when to ignore them. The morning sun filtered down over forward operating base Echo, casting long shadows across the gravel and dust. Inside the comms room, Maya adjusted her headset, fingers dancing across the controls with practiced grace. Dust coated everything: the equipment, her uniform, even the forgotten mug of coffee beside her. This was her front line. Radios, logs, frequencies. Maya knew them like others knew the terrain. Echo to Lima 6. Confirm air support coordinates, she said steadily, eyes fixed on the monitor. Outside, the base followed its rhythm. Soldiers moved with purpose. Supply. Trucks rumbled, and in the distance, the jagged Afghan peaks stood watch, timeless and unmoved. A cluster of officers strode past, deep in discussion. Maya noticed a sudden shift on one of her screen's, wind speeds climbing, visibility plummeting. A sandstorm was building in Sector 4, right where a patrol was set to deploy. "Sir," she called, flagging down Major Collins, pointing to the monitor. "Storm building fast in Sector 4. It could compromise the mission." He glanced, gave a half-hearted nod. "Appreciate it, Rodriguez. We'll monitor it," and walked away. She was used to it. In 6 months at Echo, she'd learned that accuracy didn't always equal influence. Rank decided which voices mattered. Not long after, Captain Walker stopped by her station, one of the few who actually listened. "That detour you suggested yesterday," he said, resting an elbow on her desk. "We avoided an ambush. You probably saved 6 lives." Maya gave a quiet nod. "Just doing my job." "You did it well," he said, giving her a sincere look before heading back out. His unit was deploying. Again another patrol outside the perimeter, another mission full of risk. Maya already had their frequencies loaded into memory. She always did. "Stay safe," she said. "Count on it." The hours rolled on. Routine took over. She coordinated supplies, tracked movements, kept comms clear. Even during her short lunch, she couldn't help scanning satellite updates and storm projections. The weather anomaly was growing fast, now heading straight for Walker's zone. She flagged it, sent alerts, warned of limited visibility. He confirmed receipt, but interference was creeping in. Then came the call. "Echo, this is Walker. Taking fire. Multiple wounded." The line was filled with gunshots and panic. Maya sprang into action. Within minutes, senior officers crowded the room as she relayed each update. Walker's patrol had hit an IED near an abandoned village, then came under direct fire. 3 were down, 2 critically. Enemy fighters were closing in fast, and the storm had hit hard. Visibility was 0. Air support grounded. Reinforcements would be suicide. Colonel Matthews stood over the console, jaw set. "They're outside our boundary," he muttered. "No visibility, no support." An officer confirmed it. "Air can't get in. Roads are blocked. Enemy forces. Triple our number." Walker's voice cut through the static again, urgent and desperate. "Echo, Lambert and Diaz are down. Johnson's hit bad, running out of ammo." Matthews moved beside Maya. "Rodriguez," he said quietly, "notify them, no evac. That area's Redland." She blinked. "Sir, they won't survive out there." "I know," he said. "But I won't sacrifice more lives." That's the decision. One by one the officers filed out, leaving Maya alone with the chaos still unfolding in her ears. She took a breath, steadying herself. "Captain Walker," she said evenly. "This is Echo Base. Command has determined that extraction is not possible at this time. Weather and hostiles make recovery unfeasible. Your location has been reclassified. There was silence on the line. Say again, Echo. Walker asked, disbelief thick in his voice. No extraction authorized, she repeated. Your position is now designated a kill zone. The static, dragged out copy, came the eventual reply, low and tight. We'll hold. If anything. Changes tell them we'll take a miracle. Walker out. She removed the headset slowly. Then, without a word, she got up. Asterisk, asterisk. Maya sat frozen at her station, the sound in her headset pressing on her like a physical weight. The voices coming through weren't strangers. They were soldiers she knew by name. Men she spoke to every day. Voices she could recognize instantly. She'd seen glimpses of their lives, their kids, their wives, their goofy smiles from photos tacked to walls, proudly shared during downtime chatter. Now those voices trembled with desperation. Diaz is going downhill. Walker's voice crackled, tight with urgency. Keep pressure on the wound. Jackson can serve rounds. Single shots only. Then, almost inaudible, came a quiet, raw murmur likely meant for a private channel, if anyone's listening. We've got 3 down bad. We're not gonna make it like this. Outside, through the smudged windows of the communications bay, Maya caught sight of a Humvee freshly worked over by the motor pool clean, fueled, untouched. The mechanics had just finished and were heading off to eat. Keys still hanging in the ignition. Her gaze bounced from the idle vehicle to the equipment around her. A map was already etched into her brain, months of tracking patrols and terrain. Details had left her with knowledge even grunts in the field didn't always have. She knew every ridge, ambush point, and safer route through this hellscape. Her eyes slid to the supply cabinet across the room, fully stocked, then to her locker, where a sidearm sat unused. Technically, they were supposed to carry it. Few incomes actually did. She exhaled slowly, fingers reaching for her mic. Switching to a secure frequency. Captain Walker, she said, voice steady, measured. Stay put, I'm coming. She logged off without ceremony, telling the trainee beside her that she was stepping out for a breather. Nothing about her demeanor betrayed what she was about to do. Outside, the wind kicked up in dry, churning gusts. A sandstorm brewing, nature giving her cover. She walked directly to the Humvee, mentally running through steps. A warning voice in her head yelled about consequences, disciplinary action, expulsion, even jail time. But beneath that noise, one thought rang louder. 3, critical. She hadn't always been a voice behind a desk. She used to serve on the front lines. She used to heal the wounded under fire. That side of her never disappeared, had just been buried under layers of routine. First stop, the supply room. She strapped on a med pack without hesitation. Then to her locker. The pistol felt strange at her waist, but her grip was firm, familiar. Before climbing in, she removed the vehicle tracker. Something every comms operator was trained to do, but never used. The irony was sickening. She was erasing the vehicle from the very system designed to track such actions. She got behind the wheel. The engine purred to life. She could still turn back, pretend none of this had happened, but Walker's voice echoed again. We're not gonna make it. She shifted gears and rolled toward the east gate, keeping her speed unhurried. It was a crucial window shift change. Guards were mid-handover, distracted. She kept her posture easy, face unreadable. One guard waved her through with barely a glance. No raised eyebrows, no suspicion. All their attention was trained on threats coming in. No one thought danger might leave. Once past the wire, she floored the accelerator. The storm swallowed her almost immediately, sand lashing the windshield, turning the world into a blur of dust and static. These were the exact conditions that had grounded the official response. But she wasn't official. She was something else now. She drove hard, every rut and bump in the terrain accounted for. Her mind drifted back to combat training, to the first soldier she saved in the middle of chaos. When she'd been reassigned after injury, they told her communications was still about saving lives. She believed them. But now, She saw the truth sometimes. Saving lives meant breaking the rules. The kill zone was up ahead. Hollowed-out buildings stood like monuments to ruin, perfect for snipers and traps. She zigzagged along the safest paths, invisible to the skies and cautious to the ground. Gunfire cracked to her right. She veered, adjusting course, swerving into an alternate route. The firefight intensified as she neared the shattered remains of the village. Smoke curled into the sky, and the remains of crumbled walls told a story of relentless bombardment. She slid the Humvee to a stop behind partial cover, shut down the engine. The onboard radio hissed. Wolfpack Actual, Echo Base, she transmitted. Rodriguez, I'm south of your position. Give me your exact location. A beat passed. Then came a voice, disbelieving. Rodriguez? What the how are you? No time, she cut in. Where are you? East side of the square, 2-story building, roof's half gone. We've got 3 down bad. Rest can move. Ammo. Thin, I'm coming. She grabbed her bag, slipped from the cab, and crouched low. Gunfire rattled nearby, but the bulk of it was directed north. She moved quickly, staying tight to cover, her approach silent and swift. She froze when a sniper glanced in her direction from above. Heart pounding, she waited, pressed flat to the stone until he turned away. Then she sprinted again. She reached the target building, ducked inside. The room was Chaos Bodhi's blood, tension so thick it could choke. 7 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Stunned. Walker looked like hell dust caked, arm bleeding, disbelief etched into his face. Stole a ride, she said, already dropping to her knees beside Diaz, who was pale and bleeding heavily, bandages soaked through. Did command send you? Someone else asked, a flicker of hope lighting their voice. Maya didn't look up. She was already pulling out gauze, scissors, clamps. There was no time for explanations. They didn't need a story. They needed her. Asterisk, asterisk. Maya kept her focus on stabilizing Diaz's injuries, not even glancing up. I deplored myself, she said, her tone firm and emotionless. Walker blinked, momentarily stunned, then his face settled into grim recognition. You went against direct orders. I found a loophole, she said, pressing gauze into the wound and following with a coagulant. No air support, no official team. But they never mentioned anything about one comms officer and a Humvee. A flicker of a smirk tugged at Walker's mouth. If we live through this, drinks are on me. Maya didn't miss a beat. When we make it, she corrected, already shifting to tend Private Lambert. His chest was wrapped tightly, the bleeding under control. She secured the bandages and injected morphine. I didn't come this far to let anyone die now. Corporal Johnson was next. His femur was shattered, and the blood loss severe. Without hesitation, Maya improvised a splint and connected an IV line from the supplies she'd brought along. Those 3 can't stay here, she told Walker once she'd triaged them. The Humvee can carry 5. I'll evacuate them, then circle back for the rest. Walker's jaw tightened. That's suicide. You made it once by sheer luck. Going back again is a coin toss with your life. I'm not leaving anyone behind, Maya answered, her voice low but firm. And if we wait, they won't last an hour. A sudden explosion rocked the compound, dust and debris raining from the sagging ceiling. The enemy was advancing fast. 10 minutes, tops. A soldier called out from the shattered window. They're almost on top of us. Maya's decision was immediate. We move now. Captain, can your wounded walk well enough to carry the others? Walker nodded and started giving commands. In the chaos, he pulled Maya aside. Why would you do this? He asked, searching her face. You could lose everything. Rank, future, even your life. She checked the magazine on her sidearm, her words quiet and unwavering. Because I couldn't sit back and listen to you all die, knowing I might have changed that, you're going to face serious consequences. If it means they get to live, then I'll take it, she said without hesitation. Worth the price. The run to the Humvee was a blur of speed and coordination. Maya led the way, clearing the route as best she could. The stretchers were handled by 2 soldiers each, while Walker took the rear, his weapon ready. Somehow, they reached the vehicle without engaging the enemy concealed by the chaos of the storm. "I'll be back in 30, Maya said as they loaded the injured into the vehicle. Walker looked grim. "We might not last that long. They're closing in from all sides." "Then I'll find you," she said, her voice more certain than her heart felt. "Stay alive, Captain. That's an order." The return was punishing. Maya drove the Humvee fast, dodging potholes, weaving through uneven terrain, and rerouting twice to avoid ambush points. Her eyes scanned constantly, never settling for long. In the back, the wounded groaned with each jolt. "Just hold on, Diaz," she urged, seeing his labored breaths. Almost there. Finally, the outline of Forward Operating Base Echo emerged. From the McC, she reached for the radio. "This is Sergeant Rodriguez inbound to Southgate with Wolfpack wounded. Med team needed now." Static. Then a stunned voice. "Rodriguez, confirm, where are you?" 2 minutes out. 3 urgent. 2 stable. Prep the medics, and I'm heading back for the rest. She didn't wait for questions or permission. As she neared, base medics scrambled into position at the gate, alerted by her transmission. The guards, momentarily on edge, lowered their weapons when they recognized the vehicle. The gate swung open. Maya rolled straight through and stopped in front of the forming medical team. 3 critical, 2 stable, she reported with precision. Diaz gut wound, leg injury, Lambert chest shrapnel, Johnson compound fracture, massive blood loss. One of the doctors stared at her in disbelief. She was just the Comstech, but now she looked like she'd walked out of a war movie, covered in grime and blood. "Rodriguez, what the no time?" She cut him off. Her eyes flicked to the fuel gauge. "Half a tank, enough. Captain Walker and 2 more are still out there," she said, already turning back toward the wheel. Colonel Matthews stepped forward from the crowd, his face a mixture of disbelief and alarm, just as the Humvee roared to life again. Maya didn't wait for his reprimand. She had more lives to save. Asterisk, asterisk. Lightning split the sky as Staff Sergeant Rodriguez stood firm, facing down the fury in Colonel Matthews' voice. "Stand down now," the colonel barked. Maya held her ground. "Sir, with all due respect, 3 of our people are still out there. I know where they are, and I can reach them. Every second counts." "You ignored a direct command and jeopardized this base," Matthews snapped back. "Yes, sir," she replied evenly. "But I also brought back 5 men who wouldn't have survived otherwise, and I'm going back for the others." Before Matthews could respond, a medic nearby shouted, "Sir, Diaz is stabilizing. Another half hour, and he'd have bled out." The colonel's gaze shifted between the injured men and Rodriguez. His jaw clenched as the weight of the situation set in. Around them, more soldiers gathered, drawn by the confrontation. Behind the crowd, medics worked furiously on the wounded Maya had rescued. Maya could see the inner battle in Matthews' eyes. Military protocol clashing with the soldiers' code. "Never leave anyone behind." "Sir," Maya said, voice steady, though adrenaline surged through her, "I'm requesting permission to finish the rescue. I know where they are. I won't fail." Before the colonel could respond, a new voice broke through, "Let her go." The crowd parted as General Harrison strode into view, face unreadable. "Sir," Matthews asked, taken aback. "I said, let her go," Harrison repeated. "We waste time here, time they may not have." Without hesitation, Maya turned and gathered fresh gear and ammunition. As medics cleared the Humvee, preparing it for another run, Harrison called after her. "Rodriguez," he said, "bring them back." She met his gaze. "Yes, sir." Then she climbed into the Humvee and roared into the darkness. Swallowed once again by the storm, driving through the gates, a strange calm settled over her. Whatever punishment she'd face, suspension, court-martial, worse, it didn't matter. She'd already saved 5 lives. If she could rescue 3 more, it would all be worth it. The storm had only worsened. Rain slammed the windshield, and visibility was nearly non-existent. Maya navigated from memory, threading through terrain, now more dangerous than ever. Twice, she reversed course to avoid enemy fighters. The storm was her cover, but it also masked threats. Approaching the outskirts of the village, something felt wrong. The rhythm of gunfire had changed. It was scattered, now erratic. She activated her radio. "Captain Walker, Rodriguez here. Coming in from the south. Can you confirm your location?" Static. Then a faint, strained voice. "Rodriguez, building compromised. We had to relocate. Northern edge. Stone structure. Situation's bad." Her stomach tightened. That part of the village was crawling with hostiles. "Copy that. 5 minutes out. Hold tight." She ditched the Humvee in a sheltered spot and prepared to move on foot. They'd be watching for vehicles now. Gripping her sidearm and medkit, she slipped into the chaos. The village was a war zone. Smoke, storm, scattered gunfire. She pressed 2 walls and ducked behind debris as shots rang out. Once, 2 enemy fighters passed close enough that she could hear them whispering in Pashto. From their tone and pace, she gathered they believed their prey was cornered. As soon as they moved on, she advanced, silent and determined. At the battered stone structure, a shadow moved. Her hand flew to her pistol. "Rodriguez," whispered a voice. "Specialist Torres." He lowered his weapon, shocked. "You actually came back." "I don't make promises lightly," she whispered. "What's the situation?" "Captain's hurt. Took a round during fallback." Inside, Captain Walker leaned against the wall, pale and sweating. His leg was bound, but blood still seeped through. "Missed the artery by a hair," Maya muttered, checking the wound. "Lucky," Walker grinned faintly. Never was good at making things easy. She worked quickly, rebandaged, gave him something for the pain. "Think you can move with help? If dying here is the alternative." "Yeah, I'll move." The Humvees stashed 300 yards south. Storm's still thick, but enemy presence is heavy. "We'll need to be fast and invisible." "Patrols outside," Jenkins murmured from his lookout. "I count a dozen. They're searching." Maya stood, supporting Walker. "Torres, your point." "Jenkins, watch our rear. Move quiet, move fast. This is our window." The team nodded, fear in their eyes, but resolve deeper still. This was it. The journey back was a brutal crawl. They weaved through ruins, ducked into doorways, and froze when footsteps neared. Twice, Jenkins's warnings saved them from disaster by the time they reached the Humvee. Maya's lungs burned and her body ached from tension. She helped Walker into the back seat. Torres took the front, weapon ready. "All in?" she asked. Slamming the door, Torres gave a tight nod. "Let's roll." Maya floored it, tearing away from the village and the chaos behind them. Rain battered the windshield. But for the first time that night, Maya could breathe. The storm still raged. But hope drove her, now hope that, come what may, she hadn't left anyone behind. Gunfire erupted behind them, their cover was blown. Bullets pinged against the Humvee's armor as Maya gripped the wheel tighter, pushing the vehicle across the harsh terrain. "Torres, can you reach the base?" she shouted, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. Torres lunged for the radio, but before he could respond, an explosion rocked the left side. An RPG had detonated nearby, slamming the vehicle sideways. Maya wrestled to regain control, keeping her eyes fixed on the winding trail as gunfire intensified around them. "Jenkins, you still with us?" she called back, not daring to look. "Barely," he groaned. "Captain's stable. For now." Time-blurred instinct took over. Maya maneuvered the Humvee through gunfire, skidding past debris, ignoring her own fear. Torres finally got a response on the comms. His voice was clear, despite the chaos. "Echo-based, this is Wolfpack 3. We have Sergeant Rodriguez and an injured Captain Walker. Request immediate medical support at Southgate. Hostile contact in pursuit, possible need for fire cover." The response came quickly. "Copy, Wolfpack medics en route. Quick reaction force deploying to Southgate." The outlines of the forward operating base came into view. Soldiers moved into defensive positions, rifles raised, ready to welcome them with covering fire if needed. Their pursuers faded in the distance, unable to match their speed across the field. Crossing the gates felt like hitting a wall. Adrenaline gave way to exhaustion. Maya's muscles screamed. Medics swarmed the Humvee, lifting Walker out carefully and checking the others. A hand reached to help Maya down, but her legs gave out the moment she stepped out. "Easy," a medic said, steadying her. "You're probably in shock." "I'm good," she said faintly, allowing them to guide her to a bench. "Focus on them." The base thrummed with activity. Medics, soldiers, commanders moved with urgency. In the distance, she spotted Colonel Matthews speaking with General Harrison. Both men turned, eyes settling on her. Walker was being wheeled past, pale but conscious. He caught her hand as they moved him. "You did it," he murmured, voice low but sincere. "Thank you." She only nodded, too tired to speak. All of them were alive against the odds, against direct orders, against logic. She had acted when others hesitated, but the moment shattered quickly. Colonel Matthews approached, posture rigid, the general behind him. "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez," Matthews said coolly. "You ignored orders, abandoned post, commandeered military transport, and entered a hot zone you were explicitly told to avoid. What do you have to say for yourself?" Maya rose slowly. Her voice didn't waver. "No excuse, sir. I did what needed to be done." Silence fell across the base. Eyes turned toward them. No one spoke. No one moved. General Harrison stepped forward. His gaze scanned the damaged Humvee, the medics tending the wounded, the battered survivors. Then, he lifted his hand in a deliberate salute. "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez," he said firmly, "you've demonstrated the core principles we stand for. We don't leave anyone behind." Gradually, soldiers around her followed, one by one. They raised their hands in salute. Privates, officers, even Colonel Matthews, after a long pause, joined them. It wasn't just approval, it was acknowledgement. 3 months later, she stood in full dress uniform. General Harrison pinned the silver star to her chest as a voice read her commendation for exceptional bravery in combat. Staff Sergeant Maya Rodriguez defied overwhelming danger to rescue 7 soldiers trapped behind enemy lines. Her actions reflect the highest traditions of the military and bring great honor to her unit and country. Walker sat in the front row with the others she had saved. That they were there, that was her true reward. Following the ceremony, Maya transitioned to training new recruits in communications. In front of a room full of fresh faces, she spoke plainly. "Comms isn't just about talking," she said, "it's about understanding what's really being said. Sometimes, you have to act when silence is louder than words." Later, Walker found her in the mess hall. He sat across from her, moving easier now, the limp barely noticeable. "They're already telling stories about you," he said with a grin. "You're becoming a legend." She shook her head. "I just did what anyone would have done." He leaned in, more serious now. "No, you didn't. You did more. You reminded us what the uniform means." He hesitated, then added, "I never got to say it, right? We all owe you everything." "You'd have done the same," she said softly. He nodded slowly. "I want to believe that." The next morning, as Maya addressed a new group of trainees, Walker entered the room and stood beside her. "Listen up," he said. "This is Staff Sergeant Rodriguez." When no one else came, she did. When they said it couldn't be done, she proved them wrong. She's what courage looks like. That evening, Maya visited the memorial wall. Her fingers traced the etched names those who hadn't come back. She stopped at an open space where 7 more names might have been had she chosen differently. She turned and walked away, not burdened by guilt, but strengthened by purpose. Back in the comm center, she slipped on her headset like she had that day alert, listening, ready. Because sometimes, orders don't define duty. Sometimes, the real command comes from within, the one that says, "This matters, this is why we serve." No one gets left behind.